Hey guys, got another quick video for you. This video is all about rivets. Before I get started, I want to say that earlier this morning during my first cup of coffee, the power went out. And we were without power until, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock this afternoon. So it went out at 7:29 and it took hours and hours for them to go out. I poked my head out the door with the missus today, and we saw that our power line was down, was laying in our front yard, and it was going across the driveway. And then if you looked right and looked down the street, a big tree had fallen over and had knocked that power line down. So 70 people were without power today. And the reason this ties into this video, or that ties into this video, is because it's just interesting how maybe I take for granted all of the amazing things that we have, the conveniences of electricity, of ordering from Amazon, of just getting things so readily, and the juxtaposition of that convenience to working with your hands, having your own shop, blacksmithing, making things for yourself, making your own food instead of ordering it in. It's just an interesting dynamic. So there's my lead in. So now we're going to talk about riveting. I wanted to bring you guys in on another idea that I had. Not so long ago, a viewer reached out to me and asked if I could make a rivet header to help him in making coffee spoons. And so I got the specs online for the correct size of the head. He was doing eighth inch rivets, and he bought them from McMaster Carr. And so anyway, I got the details online and made the headers, and made the tools. And then when I did it out of order. After the fact, I made myself a set, and after the fact, I bought the rivets from McMaster Carr. This bag right here, and they didn't match the specs. So these are the rivets I got. They're made in China, and as always, I learned a lot in the process. When they say an 1/8 inch rivet, I'm assuming they mean a undersized rivet. Now I know they mean an undersized rivet to fit perhaps an 1/8 inch hole. So this is not 1/8 of an inch. It's a little over 100 thou, 0.1 inch. These I just made a few minutes ago. Not as pretty. These are an eighth of an inch, but now I know, well, that's probably not going to fit in an 1/8 inch hole. So it's not really, it's an 1/8 inch rivet. I guess it's like 2x4s. 2x4s aren't 2x4. So I took it to literally, and now I've made a tool to make actual 1/8 inch rivets for, for slightly bigger holes probably. But if you're punching and drifting, that's fine. So anyway, long story short, instead of relying on these copper rivets that you're buying from China, maybe I could make my own rivets. So a night not too long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I couldn't sleep, which is very common for me. I struggle with sleep, but whatever, TMI. I was thinking about, I kind of came up with this idea while I was in and out of sleep and thinking, and all night long, it just kind of dawned on me, I guess, that I could just make rivet blocks. It looks like a square hardy plug, and then these two halves, you can put the copper in, and then these two halves will just fit into this hardy hole. You tighten the screw, it keeps these halves together. You put the head on your rivet, you loosen the set screw, and you pull it out. Oops. And then you have your newly formed rivet. Now these aren't perfect. They're a little off. I think a few factors of why I'm not getting the head of the rivet. It's not perfectly in line with, with this 1/8 inch copper rod. It's a little off. And I've discovered that, reminded that ever so slightly, my ram goes at an angle like this, or the table slants forward, but the Z travel is not perpendicular to the flat, to the cast base. I fiddled with this, and again, I readjusted it tonight. I think I might have had a little slop in here. And then the last factor of why this might be occurring is when I put these two halves in and then tighten this down, it moves this block ever so slightly that way. And so when this comes down, this is ahead of the rivet, a little bit ahead of the copper. But you know what? It's okay. It's still better than when I try to head it, but by hand. So it still works. It's kind of a slow process to do them one by one, but it is kind of neat that to be able to do something like this for yourself and not have to rely on big manufacturing or ordering it from China or whatnot. So for you preppers out there, or you self-resilient makers out there, maybe this would also interest you. I got this copper rod from McMaster Carr. I've got a multi-purpose 110 copper rod, 1/8 inch diameter, 1 foot long. 4 of these, so I could play around with riveting my own copper rivets, true 1/8 inch rivets. Okay. And in experimenting with the previous rivets that you saw, I've determined that 17 millimeters is the sweet spot of a length to get a full head and not get too much slopping out the sides. In inches, that's 0.669 inches, about 669 thou. In this case, it's just easier to go with the metric system. So I've got this one cut off, but what I do is I'll hang some of this outside the vise, measure 17 millimeters, and then with the hacksaw, let me get 17, with the hacksaw, I'll just cut this off by hand. This copper bends very easily, but that's okay. I know, guy. Okay, so I've got 2 cut off here. Hopefully they're about the same size. They are. I'm going to clean up these burrs and meet you back over at the fly press. We'll put some heads on these. Let me move these to the side, and let's rivet these. Yeah, I think future iterations, I probably want a bigger top. Yeah, this one I made bigger. Yeah. I prototype a lot, and when you're prototyping, you fail forward. You just kind of figure things out, reiterate quickly until you come up with the nice product. So there we go. It's seated in the rivet block. Oh, and by the way, I should have mentioned this before. These are hardened and tempered 4140, and it's probably right around 50, 55. I think. They come out of the hardening right around 55, 60, and then I put them in a temper to try and get them down to 45, 50, but they're usually right around 50, hardness Rockwell. So there we go. We got this tight in this hardy plate. And this isn't very exciting, but you just bring the ram down. I don't know if you can see this. And then you just squish it. Done. The rest of that was probably not needed, but that is the process. Just loosen this, bring it out. Now one side always gets stuck in there because I did drill this, and when you're drilling, sometimes you leave the little cutting marks in there, so it's not smooth. So maybe something I can address down the road. But I'll put these together, hang them over this table, and then hit them with a dead blow to loosen that up. And then there is the rivet formed. Tiny bit of rag on there, but that is perfectly fine. Let's do one more, and I'll change the angle of, so you can see it from a different angle as it gets its head. So we got them together. Put in here, tighten this up, and bring this ram down. Done. Oops. And there it is. Just need to pop it out like the last one. So there you go. It's as easy as that. 2 rivets made. And so, for a few minutes work, that's not bad. What I need to do in a future video is make some more coffee spoons. This is the 1/8 inch block, and then I also made it in a 3/16 block. And this one is going to be for mild steel rivets. And if I like this, I have a whole drawer full of rivets. So I don't need to make rivets, but it's fun to solve problems. Okay, it's fun to do this. But I suppose down the road, or if I ever lived, where I didn't have the convenience of ordering the stuff and I had to be self-sufficient, I would make this in, probably 1/4, 3/8 as well. Well, that's all I got for you on the rivet blocks. Speaking of coffee spoons, should we do a sneak preview? Let's do a sneak preview. This is gonna take 10 seconds. Let's make a little copper coffee scoop, and then I'll let you go. So I've got this bottom round forming die. Put that in here. And its mate, which will go right in there. Need to get rid of this tool. And then these should meet up like that. There we go. And if I do this correctly, we should be able to form this into a 1 ounce spoon. This is 2 inch, the copper cutout, 2 inches. I'm going to center it on here. And then just drop this down like that. Hear the air? Okay, done. There you go. There's one coffee scoop. Done. And now if I want to, I can pull this out and put it in the hardy of my anvil and use this as a bottom die, and then I can peen the bottom of this. It's that easy. And then you can see that's a pretty good start. I mean, I skipped all of the smithing steps for working with copper. I didn't do anything. I just squished it. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Oh, I can't do that. Saluting like a Space Force guy. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you on the next one. Bye.